Go ahead and cross your legs. Have your knees at about a 90-degree angle. And allow your hips to tilt forward just a little bit so you have a little bit of a curve in that lower back, just what feels natural and normal, nothing extreme. That allows you then to take the upper body back so your shoulders are right over your hips, which allows you to sit upright, dignified, with the least amount of effort. And then let's just settle in and take a moment to breathe. Allow the belly to fill, be soft, and exhale. And let expectation just roll down, roll off the shoulders. Take another 2 deep cleansing breaths, allowing the belly to rise and fill. Completely exhaling, allowing expectation to just roll away. And one more final deep cleansing breath. And exhale. As we begin to arrive on the mat, so invite you to lean forward until you feel just the least amount of resistance. Take your hands out in front of you, tent the fingers, and then just move the body back and forth. Let your awareness go back to the hips. Feel sensation. If it's too much, back your fingers up. If you like a little bit more, take your fingers forward and just add some movement there. And then walk the hands back. Inhale, arms wide to the side, up. Exhale, down. One more time, wide to the side, up. Exhale, now turn the upper body and take the arms down. You can push on the ground just a little bit for a little more twist, not too much. Inhale, up. Exhale, arms down. One more time, wide to the side. Inhale, up. Turn the trunk of the body. Bring the arms down. Press the fingers down for just a little bit of an added twist. Release that. Inhale, arms wide to the side. Exhale, down. And take the hands out front again. And I make your adjustments, hands closer or farther. And gentle movement side to side. You're just warming up, just getting into the sensation, seeing what it's like today. And bring the hands back in. One more time, inhale up, wide to the side, and just drop the right arm this time. Leave the left arm up. Notice your shoulder. If your shoulder's way out of place, see if you can pull it back down just a little bit, nothing too heavy. And then take your right hand and either put it flat on the ground or grab that block and put it on the block. Reaching up with the left arm, inhale up and exhale over. Feel sensation all the way down into the left hip. You can have that right arm straight, or you can begin to bend the elbow and straighten the elbow. Now take the upper body and twist it in, just turn in as if you're looking into your heart. And reach out with those left fingers, feeling the stretch from the left hip all the way across up to the fingertips. And turn the body side, bend the elbow, and come on up. Bring the inhale, the right arm up. Exhale, the left arm down. And again, you can have your block over there if you like. forehand on the floor, and inhale up and exhale over, feeling that stretch all the way down to the root of that right hip. We're going to be doing a lot of work with the pelvis today. We begin to feel some of that musculature in there, how it's strong. We can feel that resistance. It's strong. Those muscles are strong and can be very stabilizing. We're going to work with strengthening them and being more attuned to the subtle movements in there. Inhale and curl the body in as if looking into the heart. Inhale, open, and exhale up. And one last time, take the hands forward. And feel where that resistance is now. You may be moving a little farther forward, and take the body side to side. And come on and sit up. Now I'm going to teach a little bit of Torah now, so you can choose your posture for this. You can either sit dignified, maybe just touching your fingers in a little mudra, with your eyes closed, or if you like, you can also feel free to lay down. And while you're listening, you can take the right foot and stretch it out, just slowly feeling some beginning movement, motion in the back of the body. So from the whole back, through the hips, through the back of the leg, out the heel, and then take the left foot, same thing. Flex it and stretch that left heel away from the body. Not too hard, but just start to experiment, explore how far and where you feel that in the body, all along the back of the hips, the buttocks, the back of the thigh. So pick your posture, and I'll share a little Torah with you. And I'm gonna put it here. So this week is Parshat Bo. And it begins with the line, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Bo el Paro, come to Pharaoh, which is a little counterintuitive. We would think like Lech Lecha, like go to Pharaoh. What does this mean? Come to Pharaoh. Adonai is saying to Moses, go to Pharaoh. Well, it's really come to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart, the heart of his servants, that I might show these signs before him. So we can say a lot about Pharaoh, but for now, let's focus on the idea that Pharaoh is so committed to a particular worldview that he's the center of everything. He's so closed off through arrogance, through not listening. He's closed off to new understandings, to this idea that God exists. He's so closed off that it's impossible for him to change his worldview. Plague after plague, he relents and then goes right back to his old habitual viewpoint. He doubles down each time on hardening his own heart. First, for 5 times he hardens his own heart, and then we learn that God hardens his heart. One way of looking at this is that he's learning, forgetting, remembering, forgetting, and he hits the same resistance every time. I bring this to myself, to my yoga mat, to my life, is that like when I'm trying to do something and it's not working, do I just double down and try harder as if more force will be the answer? Do I just power through we're on the yoga mat, sometimes we find that that's going to turn into injury. We're just going to break it. There are also those times when I'm feeling pressured, when I might be in a hurry, or maybe I'm feeling vulnerable in some way. I might just double down on the way I'm doing it and just do more of it, as if that's going to help. Or I can notice the resistance and see that the world is actually put together differently. It operates differently than my mind map, than I was thinking, than I was working with. Like, have you ever tried to screw something on one way and it is definitely not working, and you just go harder on it and you know, thread the thing or whatever? The story of Pharaoh, of come to Pharaoh. Come to Pharaoh. This is an intimate invitation to come to Pharaoh, the point of resistance, because there is important information in that resistance. It's the message that it's not what you thought. Come look. Come look. But worldviews are persistent. The body is complicated. It's subtle. Sometimes I think my shoulder works a particular way, and then we learn that no, it's made up of all these other muscles, and it doesn't actually, it's not a ball and socket like our other joints are, and it works differently. And I have to learn about that. If I keep doubling down on using my shoulders the same old way, I end up injuring that. So just a little bit more here. Moses is invited to come to Pharaoh, that in coming to Pharaoh, when we come to Pharaoh, when we come to our place of deepest resistance, that's where we can see the signs of God. That's what I'm reading in this first verse from this portion. So the Maharal of Prague sees that Pharaoh's hardening of Pharaoh's heart as a divine assist. What? Says there's two ways that hardening can be seen as a divine assist. One, if you harden or resist so hard that you will eventually crack, that cracking open can lead to freedom and relief. I'm going to say that is maybe not the best way for us to work, do our yoga work, like not that way of a divine assist. But the second way that the Maharal says that resistance is a divine assist is that discomfort, that feeling of resistance, of pulling, of whatever, discomfort is a prompt, is a prod to wake you up, to wake me up, to cause me to know, to bring my awareness. It is the red flag to bring my awareness to whatever's going on, maybe to the state of my own heart. And in that instance of knowing, there's room for freedom, room for doing something differently. And that instance of knowing is the divine assist. This might be a way of seeing, God is in the resistance, in the hindrance. So we'll bring that to our work today of seeing what we can find in the resistance. So I'm going to start with some pelvic stabilization, which is very subtle. So we need to be awake for that. I'm going to invite you to go ahead, if you're not already on the floor, to come to the floor, bend your knees, and bring your awareness to your breath and to your pelvis. Maybe put your hands on both of pelvic tips right here. And just feel where they are. See if they can feel even. I invite you to inhale and feel the breath go down to the lower belly. Feel the pelvic muscles kind of expand. They get harder in a way. And exhale and feel the four corners of the pelvis come together with that exhale, almost like a zipping up or an elevator coming up as they come back together. Try that a couple of times. Inhale, feel it fill, exhale. Imagine the four corners of the pelvis, the pubis, the tailbone, and each side coming together like a flower closing. Try it one more time with the inhale with that flower opening and then closing. Coming together. Now bring awareness to your feet. Put weight in the feet and press down on your feet so your hips come up just a little bit. And feel those both sides of the pelvis even. And we'll do that breath again. Inhale, exhale, feeling the four corners of the pelvis coming together. Now take the pelvis so that both sides of the pelvis are working together and stay even, and just move it to the side, not up, but just over to the side. It won't go too far. And back to the center. And in doing this, all your muscles are working to stabilize that pelvis. And bring it back to the center. So taking it out to the right, working with the inner left thigh and the outer right hip, taking it out to the right. Feeling the weight shift on your feet. Bring it back to the center. And then take it over to the other side, working with the inner right thigh and the outer left hip. Take it over to the side and back to the center. And now we're going to swing it up a little bit, but keeping like a flat line across the front of the hips so that both sides of the pelvis are working together. It's not, twisting. They're working as a unit. So we're going to press down on the left foot, activate the inner left thigh and the outer right hip, and take it up to the side, pressing down on that right foot, and release it back down. Now pressing on the left foot and take it up to the left. If you feel any points of resistance, be aware of them and take them as information. Maybe you need to readjust, back off, readjust and try again, and then take it up to the left side, pressing that left foot, take it back, and allow the pelvis to drop back down to the floor. Bring your knees in to the chest. And place your feet on the floor. Roll over to the side. One, up to all fours. I'm going to do some work with wrists. I know wrists, people don't love working with wrists, but there's a lot of great information here. So we're going to come to all fours. You can adjust the amount of weight on your wrists by where the weight of your body is. So you can move your body back if it's really, if your wrists are quite tender. And I'm going to invite you to do a little feeling study right now. If you just put your hands down, you might notice that the weight rolls out to the outside of the hand, and feel how that feels. And now I want you to put weight in the thumb and the pointer. Make this like a little J. And press down on that thumb and pointer and feel the muscles in your arm engage. And in addition to that, I want you to claw your fingertips a little bit so that they are taking some of the weight. So you have weight on the thumb and the pointer, and then push down the fingertips. See how different that feels. So release it and see as the weight shifts to the outside of the hand. And you might feel sensitivity in your wrist then. Now go back to pressing down on the pointer and the thumb, and pressing down on the fingertips, and pushing your weight to the forward part of your palm will take some sensitivity out of the wrist. And now we're going to just keep that going. I'm going to move my knees forward and roll around, just a warm up of the wrists. And take it around the other way. And now bring your knees in closer and turn your hands backwards. So you need to adjust this as you are able and begin to put a little weight on the wrist and move the arm around. If that's too much, bring your knees closer because your knees will carry more weight and you can take weight off of it. And you can adjust this to almost any level of sensitivity. But this undoes a lot of the work. If it feels tight, it's because we don't get to stretch this out very much. So much of what we do at keyboards and things will just tighten this up. And go around and turn around the other way. And then go ahead and take your hands. And now have your hands facing each other. We'll do a final version of this. And think about, where should my knees be? Where do I want? Just experiment with your knees up close, with your knees a little farther back. And then, again, pressing down on the thumb and the pointer and pressing your fingertips down. Move around the upper body around to warm up the wrists, to stretch. And notice the information that you find in your own bodily resistance. What do you learn about your wrists? Okay, come back and just turn your wrists around. We'll do one more thing with the forearm. Again, a feeling study. Take your right forearm down on the ground, the underside up. Move your knees in towards your forearm. Actually, move your knees so you have your knees are on either side of the elbow. I know this is an odd posture, but it's great. It's really worth it. Take your left knee and start to put a little pressure on that forearm and see how much. We're going to massage this forearm. See what that feels like. You'll notice your hand will curl because we're pressing the muscles that curl the fingers, and that's fine. And you can take weight off or on at your own pace, your own experiment, and then move the knee down towards the wrist. Your hand will curl more. This should feel really good. If it doesn't, then take weight off, or you might choose not to do it at all. And then turn it over and take your other hand. Again, my knees are in close. I'm going to take my other forearm and just press it along the top ridge of the forearm and just massage that out. All to warm up this very tough place to get at, the wrists. And then take it up, and we're going to try the other side. So I'm going to take the left hand at a 90-degree angle, lay it down. I'm going to move my knees in close so my body's right over this, so I can adjust how much weight, I can have control over how much weight I put on. Take my right knee and place it, begin to apply weight onto that forearm. And feel the massage, just move it around there a little bit. Begin to move it down. Notice it makes my hand curl. I hope this feels really good for you. It feels really good for me. And if it doesn't, do adjust. Do adjust. Find that information, that God awareness in the resistance. And then take it, turn it over, take your other arm and move your body forward to put weight on it as much as is right for you. And just slide it down the top ridge of that arm. Okay. So now let's go ahead and come on up to both knees. Take the right leg forward. Put your hands on your knee. Now see where your ribs are. Pull them back in. I'm going to work again with the hips as we've done previously. And take the pelvis with a slightly backward tilt and keeping the shoulders right above the hips. Bring the body forward, feeling the stretch right here across the psoas. Stretching and strengthening that hip, that pelvic girdle. So when you're doing this, one should also put some weight, put some force into that shin on the ground. Really push it down into the ground and then take it forward. So we're getting strengthening in a stretched position here of some of the muscles of the pelvic girdle. Take it forward a couple more times. One more. Okay, notice how that felt. That's not the normal way we do it. Normally I'm gonna invite you to do it the normal way, a normal Anjane asana. And you may want your blocks for this to just go ahead and let the pelvis spill forward. And feel where the resistance is in this position. One more time. Bring it back up, back to the first way. And notice, I'm doing a lot of these feeling exercise, feeling investigations, feeling studies. Keep the shoulders back, pelvis tilted under, ribs stay back, putting weight into that, pressing down with that shin, and come forward. Feel where the resistance, where the strength, where the work in the hip is, slightly, subtly different. And now take this right foot out to the side of the mat. Your heel's just barely on the mat, but it's turned at a 45-degree angle. Your hips are still straight forward. Put your hand out on your knee, and then let the pelvis go to the side. and back. Pressing down, it feels like nothing unless you're pressing down with this shin. So you can try it without pressing down with the shin, and it feels all sloppy and like nothing's happening. Press down with the shin. Ah, there, you're strengthening the pelvis. And take it back. And bring it back. Let's go to the other side. The pelvis is slightly tilted back, ribs are in. That back leg is really pushing down on the floor, and you come forward and back. Forward and back. A couple more times. Feeling where in the pelvic girdle you're feeling resistance or strengthening. Now grab your blocks, and we're going to go the sort of traditional Anjane asana, where we just allow the hips to just flow forward. And feel the difference there. Different part of the hips. What information? Where's the resistance? Do you need to back off? But what thing new can I learn about my pelvis and how it works in these two different movements? So back to the original, pelvis slightly tucked, ribs pulled in, pressing down very strongly onto that back shin. And as that's pressing down, I come forward. Oh, that's how my pelvis works. That's how I can strengthen those muscles in there. Having both sides of the pelvis work as a unit, strengthening the psoas. And then one last time, just coming down straight Anjane asana, releasing that and feeling the difference in there. This is the different muscles working together. Now we're going to come to all fours and work with a little core stabilization. So back on the hands, and again, weight in the pointers and the thumbs. Now you can have your middle finger pointing forward, or you can turn your hands a little bit so they're a little bit wider, a little bit more open. Just see how that works for you. Either one's okay. And then we're going to take the right foot back, point that toe into the floor, or get the toe ball down on the floor and push the heel back. Leave that where it is, and if it's available to you, do the same with the left foot, and there we are in a lunge. If that's not available, do it one leg at a time. And bring it back in. Now I want you to think about, as we press down with the pointer and the thumb and claw the tips of the fingers in and press onto the base of the fingers so the weight is there, we're also pulling up with the front abdominal muscles. So we're using our core to stabilize ourselves here. Keep that core stabilization and take that right foot back. Now give it a try, if it's available to you, to take the left foot back and stay in a plank and breathe. Bring the right knee down, left knee down. And it may be enough for you to just keep that leg back. You can also do the core without going to the plank. You can raise that back leg and raise the front arm. Also works that core. Notice the desire of the core to sag and resist that. And take it to the other side or go back to the plank. You can either go to plank or take the left leg back, right arm forward, raise them up while the core resists letting that chest fall down. And take it down. Now I try one more core stabilization that's a little bit more of a challenge, where you take your hands a little farther away. So it's called a long plank. And again, it's really important to place that weight in your hands into the forefinger and thumb, claw the tips of the fingers, and move your weight to the base of the fingers. Now, if you can just stay here on your knees, or if you like, you can take that right foot back, take the left foot back, and notice the core is doing a little extra work, a little more work to stabilize here. You can do it one knee at a time and switch. Pressing forward with the hands and stabilizing with the core. And bring both knees down. Spread the knees wide and come back into a child's pose. And just notice. And walk your hands in. Go ahead and come on up to standing. We really only have time for one standing pose, but we'll do that core work with one standing pose. We'll come into second warrior. So the right foot is parallel to the mat. Left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. Bring the arms up. Exhale and bend that front knee. Now think into the pelvis as we've been working with it, both sides working together. And go ahead and lean over on that front bent knee. Take the left arm up and over. Now thinking of that core stabilization from the pelvis up, you can just, if it's possible, you can experiment, know where your resistance is, know where the divine assist is, and maybe reach that other arm out. Take it down, take it out. Does it work? Bring the hand down and come up, back to warrior two. And straighten the leg. Both feet facing forward. Inhale up. Exhale down to the other side. Left foot forward this time. Bring the arms down. Feeling the feet pressing strongly into the ground. Your strong support. Go ahead and take the upper arm over. Feeling the line of the body all the way from that back foot to the fingertips. And now, with that strong core, again, if you like, experiment. Can I take that out? Do I need to take it back? What do I learn about that point of resistance? Is there something I can adjust to make it better? If I press more into my feet? Am I more able to do it? And inhale up, both feet forward, bend the knees, inhale, arms wide to the side, up, and come down. One more time, up, and come down. Last time, up, and bring your feet together. And this class always goes so fast. So go ahead and find your way to your place of Shavasana. Maybe move your wrists a little bit and see, where was the resistance? Feel the echo of what we were doing in your wrists, in your hands, in your hips, in your core. Go ahead and lie down. Bring one knee to your chest. Stir it around. Lengthen that heel out and place it on the floor. Bring the left knee into the chest. Stir it around. And extend the left heel out and lower the foot, lower the leg. And if you like, place your hands on the hips again. Close your eyes. And just tap into the echoes of the work that you just did. What awareness was available in the resistance? Was it too new and different and really hard to notice? Where is my own learning and forgetting, learning and forgetting? Did bringing my awareness to it allow for any amount of freedom? Could I be awake to the divine assist? And now let the thinking mind just rest. Simply be aware of the echoes of practice in your body and in your breath. And if you have nowhere you need to be, feel free to spend some more time in Shavasana. But we've come to the time of class. I invite you to bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. Take your right arm, stretch it long, and roll over to the right side, cradling the head. Using your left arm, push up to seated position. Sitting tall. And bringing awareness to your breath, to the state of the heart. Soft or hard right now. Thank you so much for your practice. And I'm going to come up to my seat to take your questions and listen to your responses and experience. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to switch to my other sound. Hold on just a second. I see somebody has a question. Let me grab my glasses so I can see. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So I just wanted to first say thank you. I thought the exercises for me were powerful, and also the drush on the Torah portion, um, kind of about intimately coming to somebody who is resisting you, and what you can learn from that. Um, it reminds me of like when I was in driver's ed as a kid, and I lived in Ohio, so we had ice. They said like your desire to, if your car spins out, is to turn against the turn, but you actually should steer into it, which is completely counterintuitive. But I get that feeling too, like that roll with it, not resisting. So at that point, I don't know, it just seemed really cogent to me. So thank you for that. And also the
Yes,
exercise.
that's such a great example, by the way. Great
Oh,
example.
thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I had I have a lot of trouble with my psoas. Anyways, like I've really been even in physical therapy for it, so it helped to work it today. But I noticed like when we were on our knees, like leaning forward, it made my knee hurt and also my toes cramp, which I wouldn't expect. Like I definitely knew I was going to have a stretch in the psoas, but is the cramping like due to the fact that it's just so tight? And is there something that I can do to maybe make the knee? Okay.
So for your knee, one thing to do is we didn't do anything that actually stretched the front of the thighs beforehand. So maybe you do need to warm up the front of the thighs a little bit, but also feel free, and I'm sorry I didn't invite you to do this, feel free to pad under that knee. So you can pad by rolling your mat over, just like, and getting that little extra padding, or actually having a blanket or something there, because you know that that is an issue for you. But you have to play with it and see what works. Okay, Amaya?
Yes, thank you. And the toes cramping, like, is that just because I needed to do the warm up to the front and
Again, like we did a lot of warm up with the hands and the wrists. You might need to do that with your toes. I have to do a lot of work with my toes every day. I have to do my toes just to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, that was really intense. I just feel like I'm gonna need to take this again and again on YouTube.
A good thing to do with your toes. So this is my foot now. This is my foot. And as if I'm scraping up a sock from the floor, that movement with your toes is really good. And it hurts at first. I almost feel like I'm breaking through, but that's, and all kinds of movement with your feet and your toes is good.
Thank you very much.
Janice Rubin. Hi, Janice Rubin.
How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. What can I help you with? Or what would you like to share?
Thank you so much for a great class. You know, I have a daily practice, but it's always nice to have a new take and try new things like the wrist piece was huge. So thank you for that. I had a similar question about the feet. When I put the pressure on the shins on the floor, the arches of my feet cramp up. And I do exercise my toes every day. I go point off point off point. But the arches of the feet cramping when I'm putting pressure on the shins is a new thing. And so I'm kind of wondering, what can we do about exercising the arches?
Yeah. Well, so you can always stretch the arches too, use a ball, like a tennis ball. But besides that, without fixing, quote unquote, fixing the arches, what about just in the moment? And this works for Bamaya too. What about in the moment? How about I just take some pressure off of the whole thing? And maybe that's fine. Maybe I don't have to put 100% effort, even though the teacher's saying, put a lot of effort into that. Experiment with taking pressure off of that back shin, but still feeling that it's there, because you could do that movement with no awareness of that front shin on the ground at all. And then just like move the hips and like nothing's happening then. So maybe it is about titrating how much effort to put into that shin. Who knew that exercise was about how much pressure to put into that shin? Take off the pressure, put on the pressure. When we get pushed into a corner, we don't always respond well. Like when we put on maximum pressure, we don't always respond well. So take it off and see, and then maybe ease a little bit more into it, and then bring your awareness to the foot. Can I put pressure on my shin without totally engaging the foot? Can the foot relax at the same time? It's very subtle. I hope that helps. Great. Jared, hi.
Hello. You guys talking about resistance reminded me of the myth of the centaur. He gets stuck in the thorn bush, and his instinct is to kick his way out of everything. And the more he kicks, the more he gets stuck. So I think about that often. And you guys reminded me of that resistance.
Yeah.
And then her question about the foot stretching, you can put your foot on a towel too, and you can pull the towel up. And that's another easy way to stretch the plantar fascia.
Right.
Yeah, great practice. And I always appreciate the variety, but working with you, and just bring a different quality. And I really appreciate your Torah teaching and just all around everything IJS offers. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Me too. I'm in it for the long haul too, and I appreciate so much practicing with y'all. Thanks. Linda Shivers. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Julie. So I was confused when we were putting our arm down, and what do you call it? The forearm. I was
Yep.
confused about what I was supposed to do with the other forearm.
I was just placing, let me hang on. Let me switch. I'm going to switch cameras a second. I'm not sure I can talk through this. I think I have to. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take my right forearm and place it on the ground. My other hand is out here like a tripod. So I'm bringing my knees up close so I can adjust be in control of how much weight I put on. But my other hand is out here like a tripod. And so my elbow is sort of right between my legs, between my knees. And then I take the knee on the outside, I move it forward. I don't know if you can see there. I move it forward right behind the elbow. Yeah. Put this out there. And there's some weight in this hand. And then bring that there. And feels so good. All right, I'm not going to go there and feel good in front of you. Does that help, Linda?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, everybody. Does anybody else have a question? I'm going to look and see if there are questions in the chat here. Yeah, somebody, Judith Rosenbaum. Yeah, a lot of us are working with our feet, and she has a suggestion of picking up a tennis ball or a roll of socks with your toes. Yeah, yeah. Toes and arches. You know, your hands, when I talk about the hands too, for those of us who are still hanging out here, there's like a little arch under here at the palm, at the base of the hand. When I put my weight on the thumb and pointer and across here, that arch exists. When I don't, if I just push my hands into the ground, that arch goes away. When that arch goes away, that puts us at more risk for carpal tunnel. So this also creates, you know, so we want arches in our hands and our feet, all of that. This was kind of subtle work. I don't know that you would like break a sweat with it, but it's very foundational and invites us to get into that subtle awareness of where is the resistance and what can where is the divine assist, the information in that. Okay. You broke a sweat. Good. I'm glad. Shavua Tov, everybody. And thank you all. The pads of my thumbs. I don't know. Anything, yeah, by thumb and wrist finger, yeah, good. That play around with where your weight is on your hand and what happens. Notice what happens if my weight on my hand is to the outside. Notice what's happening all the way up in your arm. And when you move it to this side and actually claw those hands, notice the inside of the arm is going to start taking up some of the slack. So just notice as you move it around, what's happening there and what works. William. Sorry, I didn't see your hand up. I should know, you always have good questions. Can you unmute yourself?
I thought the exercise was also very good for stretching the quads.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that that worked for you. I'm glad that that worked for you. Yeah, the warriors. And strengthening and fatty part under the thumb. Fatty part under the thumb. I don't have a good answer for that right now, except playing around, massaging it, stretching it. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Well, thank you, everybody. So good to practice with you again.